Hi everyone, Ashley here and welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing how I made this cute Christmas PEA card, which involves a lot of Lawn Fawn stamps and a few die sets, and I will walk you through all of them as we go through the card making. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm actually starting this time by creating the sentiment first, which is not usual for me. If you've watched a lot of my videos, you know I generally start with making the background or stamping the images and critters. But as you might have seen from the thumbnail, the background for this card is actually quite simple. It's just pattern paper. And the images, I actually stamped and colored ahead as part of a huge batch that I did for my holiday card making. So I actually stamped out a whole bunch of holiday images and stamped, colored, and cut them all out so that I would have them ready to go for quick and easy holiday cards. So I definitely recommend doing that if that's something you're interested in, sort of having these images just on hand and ready to go. I will say that as I was doing that, I definitely at least thought a little bit ahead to like what kind of Christmas cards I would want to make and stamped out images in those themes. So one of the themes obviously was these cute peas, which come from a Lawn Fawn sort of mini stamp set. And I stamped a bunch of them out, not really knowing what I was going to do with them, but then deciding to put them into this sort of Christmas tree formation and then calling it a Christmas pea. So for the sentiment, I'm stamping out 2 sentiment banners here in green cardstock to match the color of the tree, which is made up of the peas. So on the first one, I stamped out the word O with a comma, and then on the second one, I'm stamping out the word Christmas, and I'm just using an ABC stamp set for that, and that's another Lawn Fawn alphabet stamp set. So to make the actual base of the card, like I mentioned, it's all just pattern paper. So I have an A2 size card base here, which is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And I used a rectangle die with some stitching detail around the edges to cut out a piece of this snowflakey red pattern paper. This is also from a Lawn Fawn paper set. And by the way, if you want to see all of the supplies that I used on this card, they are listed down in the description below the video with links that you can shop at if you'd like. So I'm just using some liquid glue to glue these pieces together. First I glued the red piece onto the card base, and now I'm gluing the yellow piece onto the red piece. And this yellow piece is cut with another rectangle die, so you get that stitching along the edge as well. Just makes everything nice and neat and gives it a nice finishing touch. And that yellow paper is from another Lawn Fawn paperback. I think it's called Spiffy Speckles, and it's just that really cute yellow color, which I thought would be a nice sort of backdrop for this Christmas tree. Okay, so once that's done, it's time to start assembling the tree, or the pea. And you can kind of see how I started to do this off to the left. So I actually, off camera, because it takes a while to kind of fiddle-faddle around with the images, but I fiddle-faddled around with them and I put them into an arrangement that I liked. So basically I'm lining up 5 of the peas as the bottom of the tree, and then I'm kind of just working my way up with a few different peas and kind of trying to integrate the sentiment into the tree as well, so it all looks like one sort of unified piece. For the rest of the sentiment, by the way, you saw me stamp those sentiment banners, but to finish it off, I used an alphabet die set from Lawn Fawn. This is their Finley's ABC's die set, and I cut out the letters P, E, and A to make P. So as you can see, I'm just adding some foam to the back of each of these elements that are going to make up the Christmas tree, and I wanted the whole tree to be popped up onto foam basically. So for each of the peas, I just stuck one foam square behind them, and then for the words P, I cut those foam squares down into smaller strips so that they would fit behind the letters. And what you can see me doing, and this is something that I do a lot when I'm making these sort of intricate scenes with lots of different images that you're not really sure how you want them to fit on your card. So this is actually a technique I use in a lot of my cards, is to add foam behind the images, but don't take the release paper off yet. So you can see I'm doing that here. I'm adding a little foam square behind each of the peas, but I'm putting them onto my card surface, but I'm not sticking them down because I'm not taking that second piece of release paper off. And what this does is it sort of allows you to arrange everything on your card exactly where you want it. And then all you have to do when you're happy with the arrangement is just take each piece off one at a time, pull the release paper off, and stick it down. So it's a nice way to sort of build these complicated scenes with lots of little images, but not have to worry about sort of committing too soon to something that you're not sure if the images will fit together nicely. Another tip that I'm doing on this card in particular, which if you're wanting to make a card like this or something similar to this would be a good idea for you to try as well, is to build out the overall shape, so the overall shape of the tree in this case, with the sort of main images first. So I've put all the sentiment pieces and all the P's, and then of course that die cut star at the top, which I die cut out of silver glittery paper. This is the main shape, and all the other little images that I have off to the left there, so sort of those music note speech bubbles and the little lamp posts, are sort of add-on images that I'll use to fill in the tree and add sort of as details here and there. But I really wanted the main shape to be done first and to make sure that it looked good before I started adding those things in. So once I was happy with all of the P's and the sentiment and the star, I could then start sticking them down. And you can see I've stuck down that bottom row of P's there by just pulling them up one at a time, pulling off that release paper, and then sticking them down, because I know that I'm happy with this arrangement and I'm glad that they're in the spots that they're in, so I'm good to stick them down now. And as I move up the tree, I'm going to go from bottom to top. I'm just doing this over and over again, sort of for each row of the tree almost. I'm just pulling each of those main images one at a time, sticking them down, and then I go ahead and add in some little details here and there because I know that I'm happy with the overall arrangement. So now I'm just continuing up. I'm pulling off the release paper from those little pieces of foam behind the letters for P, and then again, just sticking them down one at a time. Another little tip for scenes like this that are quite complex or have lots of little images: tweezers are your best friend. I love my craft tweezers. As you can see, these ones I'm using are not even in their original state. They actually come with some nice sort of like soft, almost foamy pads where your fingers are meant to go on the sides, but those fell off a long time ago for me because I use these so much and they were worn out, but the tweezers themselves still work perfectly fine, so I've continued to use them. And they are just so great. They really let you place things in a way that allows you to see where you're placing them so your big fingers aren't getting in the way, and just kind of allows you to get that perfect placement every time. So I think if you've watched a lot of my videos, you will have seen these tweezers popping in probably in almost every single video because I use them, I think, on every single card I make. So again, I'm just continuing to go up the scene here. I've placed down that Christmas, I've placed down the next row of P's with the little lamppost, the next sentiment strip at the top, and now I'm at the very top of the tree. I'm just using one foam square behind that star to stick it down right in the middle, and just using my grid mat behind the card to kind of make sure that I've put that star right in the center. And then I'm using a piece of double-sided tape to stick this final P down because it's going right on top of that star, which already has foam behind it, so I didn't need any more foam on this P. But I don't know about you, I found that liquid glue doesn't always stick the best to glitter. I find it kind of allows the piece to sort of jiggle around a little bit too much, so I really like using double-sided tape when I'm adhering things to glitter paper. And that's it. Once I've added in those last few details, the card is complete. This is actually a deceptively simple card because it does look quite complex. And I will say the process of stamping and coloring all those little images did take a while, but I did that sort of on my own before I made this card. So when I did sit down to make this card, it really wasn't too bad. So I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please feel free to check out the other videos on my channel or head over to my Instagram account where I show even more cards that I've made. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!